So, I guess I've been wanting to talk about why Disney is not the same as it used to be. I guess we used to look forward to watching the films that they were releasing, and it was pretty exciting. It was part of our childhood, and it helped so much with the way that we perceived the world. And actually, seeing princesses on the big screen kind of built our characters in a way. We had memorable movies, and even the ones that came later, like the old ones, were pretty good like Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or The Little Mermaid, but also Disney in the 2000s. They released a couple more, such as The Princess and the Frog, which was also pretty good. Yeah. So it was good because mostly it kept it original. So today we're going to discuss why I think Disney movies are not the same anymore. And we're going to cover three core elements. So let's start with number one. And I think number one is that Disney princesses used to have values they used to fight for. So even if those values represented a weakness to the rest of the people in the movie, it was their strength and they stood by them. So we have values such as determination, resilience, fearlessness, and curiosity, ambition. Determination in the case, for example, of Mulan, who took her father's place in the army. Resilience in the case of Cinderella, who, despite abuse from her stepfamily, she maintained her kindness. Fearlessness and curiosity from Ariel from The Little Mermaid, who was always demonstrating those characteristics when facing the human world. And ambition, for example, in the case of Princess Tiana, who was hardworking and, of course, ambitious when it came to founding her own restaurant. The number two aspect were the sidekicks. So the sidekick character in Disney movies with the princesses, they were more than just a comic relief. They used to have like the voice of this consciousness and awareness. They were very interesting characters who were constantly supporting our main characters. They were the ones that warned the character or told them not to go in a specific way or just to act in a different way. We had characters such as Mushu, Sebastian, who were pretty interesting. They had great voice actors, but that, of course, wasn't the most important about them. The most important was what they actually were, right? And that they connected with the audience in a way that kind of moved us. And eventually, of course, that raised a lot of sales, and it was good for sales and for merchandising. So when you're trying to sell something, you want to have like the main character, the protagonist, but also a good side character. The only way to get the protagonist is you have access by going through the sidekick. Oh, so I guess that's another thing. Another weak point, another weak link in these new live action movies. Number three is the music, the songs in general. The musical numbers and the songs used to carry the story, being each of them pretty memorable. They were a part of the story, they didn't seem forced at all. It seems like the live action movies don't know how to make the music fit into the story anymore. As I was reading in Reddit about this topic, I found a comment that resonated with me. I quote, "I believe the issue is the music is going more and more contemporary and moving away from more traditional Broadway. There's less storytelling happening in the songs and more focus on making sure each song is a banger." Another comment tried to show the fact that songwriters are not given enough time to write the songs. There were some examples about it as well. I quote, "But see, some of the best Disney songs have gone for a pop songwriting approach. Look at Reflection. From Mulan, it was a 90s pop hit and doesn't have super specific lyrics related to the plot of the film. Also, an absolute classic that resonates with the struggles of many to figure out what the true self looks like. The real problem here is that Disney is imposing ridiculous deadlines on their songwriters now, and basically setting them up to write songs as an afterthought rather than building the plot around the songs. If I'm not wrong, the songwriter for Wish only had weeks to come up with the lyrics. That is another big problem that we gotta face, and of course, if you have been watching the live actions, you're going to notice that the music is not as good as it used to be. Also, remember how Disney used to bring us genuinely original stories? Well, that leads me to something that's been bugging me about their newer stories. This feeling that they're trying too hard to be inclusive. Sometimes when it really shouldn't be the central focus. Think back to the variety of Disney films we grew up with. In a way, they were already inclusive, right? We had Mulan, Pocahontas, Tiana, characters with totally different cultural, economic, and social roots. It felt natural. Now, it seems like the go-to is just changing the actors, and honestly, that feels pretty significant for the story. You're messing with a visual element that's part of what makes these characters who they are, their identity in a way. Disney used to promote the characters more than the actors. I guess that is one of the problems right now. They have to promote the actor because the actor represents a certain community and the character is thrown into oblivion. That angle hasn't been well executed because of the press. I mean, Snow White is just the tip of the iceberg, you know? But think back to Beauty and the Beast. The moment Emma Watson was announced as Belle, there was immediate debate. Many felt she wasn't the right fit. It raises a question. Was the casting more about bringing in Emma Watson's Harry Potter audience than truly embodying Belle? Most likely, yes. And as you can see in this moment, Emma Watson's not like a big hit. In that moment, she was casted because it was like the boom of Harry Potter. So we gotta see the connections there. The casting of Hailey Bailey was similar, like for the Little Mermaids movie I'm talking about. It feels like there's a specific strategy at play, right? It's about bringing back those who love the originals while also connecting with the new generation through on-screen representation. On the surface, it's a smart business move. But the question is, has this strategy actually been executed effectively? I guess the issue here is that it's not longer about storytelling. It's more about representation stuff that goes more to a social concern instead of movie making. So Disney has lost this love for films, and this leads me to think, if you're just going to fuck things up, just make a new story, man. You know, like, stop adapting stories and ruining the original story. They're bad retellings, honestly. So if you're just going to screw it up, just create a new story and bring those new audiences that you want to get involved with, but stop this mass production of live actions that are preventing other stories from getting the attention. I think the actual problem is the bundle with the streaming, because they have relied so much into Marvel stories that they forgot about the Disney core, which includes princess movies. So it's not about Disney anymore, you know? Like, I remember back in the day, Disney movies from Disney Television were good. They were well built, the script was good, there was actually money invested in it, and it was part of many artists beginning to eventually become relevant in series, TV shows, etc. It was a good platform despite its many problems and issues with specific actors. Setting that aside, I guess Disney care about minor products as well. About this, I would really like to dive deeper into Disney television and why I feel the TV shows and teen movies especially have lost or have become completely irrelevant. That's a topic for another video, a part 2 discussing Disney and why movies are not even close to what they used to be. Wait for that part 2. But this is everything that I wanted to cover about Disney princesses. Movies that I absolutely adore, and I have become so disappointed in the latest products. I really hope that we get to that point in which princess movies were just like hopeful and full of magic, because that was the beauty of Disney. So if you like this video, please let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel. Remember that I am Natalia and this is La Nata del Cine.